A period of unprecedented change is coming for the representatives of the zodiac sign Taurus. The influence of the 13th sign, the serpent, continues its powerful entry into the cosmic sphere, affecting this sign in a way it has not felt in the history of horoscopes. This is not just a figurative expression, but a profound astrological reality. For over 2 millennia, during the age of Pisces, the destiny of Taurus has followed certain patterns, but the coming age of Aquarius promises to transform them beyond recognition. 7 key days, spread between June and July of this year, appear not just as regular dates on the calendar, but as momentous milestones that can dramatically change the life path of Taurus. Venus, their ruling planet, takes its influence to a whole new level, throwing off the outdated rules of the Pisces era. Combining with the new astrological attributes of Serpentine, it crushes the old system, in which representatives of this sign were often in waiting, patience and dependence on circumstances. Now everything will change. The energy of the age of Aquarius launches a grandiose process of purification, sweeping away on its way all the obstacles that prevented the influx of finances, harmony in love and finding inner peace. The time of compromise is a thing of the past. There comes an era when Taurus returns to their inalienable right to make their own decisions, with whom to build their lives, for what ideals to fight and where to find sources of income. And most importantly, these fundamental changes are not the product of speculation or mysticism. They are clearly reflected in astrological transits and confirmed by precise mathematical calculations of aspects. This is an undeniable fact based on astronomy. For the first time, representatives of this sign will not passively wait for changes, and begin to actively live within them, becoming part of them. This is a unique chance not to miss everything that previously did not add up. Now these previously unsolvable situations begin to work in their favor, opening the way to a whole new future. Let's begin in order. Day 1, June 9th, is marked by the hard aspect of Venus in Taurus to Pluto in Aquarius. This event is not a subtle hint, but a powerful blow aimed right at the dormant corners of the psyche. Venus in Taurus actively turns on the 9th house of the horoscope, the axis responsible for expanding consciousness, realizing higher meanings, and strengthening self-confidence. Pluto, as the symbol of all-encompassing transformation, acts without prior consent, ruthlessly destroying the foundations upon which Taurus has spent years building its illusion of stability. Habitual attitudes such as, working hard means I am successful, or, being loved means I am living right, suddenly lose their power and cease to function. At this point, the hidden mechanism of the serpentine is activated, which triggers the process of zeroing out all empty and ineffective life scripts. An obsessive thought, like an echo, begins to resound in the mind: why do I put up with all this? And then there is a reassessment. The fear of going through life unnoticed becomes much more tangible than the previously frightening fear of change. Taurus, who for many years carefully avoided questions about the meaning of his existence, suddenly finds that he cannot sleep without these thoughts. And the deeper he is immersed in these internal searches, the more clearly drawn out in front of him a concrete, real plan of action. These days are not abstract philosophical studies, but a clear and pragmatic redirection of life forces. Without such a profound shift, it is impossible to move into the future. Day 2, June 11th, brings with it a harmonious trigon of Venus in Taurus to Mercury in Cancer. During this period, the 3rd house of the horoscope, symbolizing the realm of words, thoughts, messages and explanations, comes into full play. Since this aspect is harmonious, everything that has long remained unspoken, gets the opportunity to come out, and without the usual scandals and emotional outbursts. Taurus, being an earth sign, is traditionally not inclined to direct and open emotional conversations. However, at this particular moment, the situation changes dramatically. Taurus men, perhaps for the first time in a long time, gain the ability to clearly express the innermost desire to be really needed, and not just convenient for others. Taurus women, in turn, feel a deep inner relief. Tensions that have been building up for months dissipate because there is no longer a need to pretend that everything is perfect. The influence of Cancer's attributes reinforces the need for trust, and Venus in Taurus gives this trust a tangible form. Inner tension is gradually replaced by a sense of stability and inner support. Tranquility comes not from a sudden perfect arrangement of the external world, but from the fact that the individual begins to speak openly about authentic experiences, refusing to play by other people's habitual patterns. This period is no longer a time of passive observation of change. It is a turning point where Taurus himself begins to make decisions about what exactly should be changed in his life. It is obviously impossible to continue to exist according to the old patterns, but this epiphany is no longer frightening. The third day, June 25th, is marked by the new moon in Cancer, which forms a powerful conjunction of four celestial bodies at once: Venus, Jupiter, the Sun, and Mercury. This astrological event unfolds in the sixth house, traditionally associated with work, financial matters, personal responsibility, and contribution to the common good. Taurus, a zodiac sign long dominated by the stability over ambition attitude, now finds itself having to rethink even these deeply held beliefs. Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion, greatly enhances every action Taurus takes. Venus, the ruler of this sign, sharpens their sensitivity to attempts at external control. The Sun provides the necessary determination, and Mercury, the planet of communication, sends a clear message: it's enough to settle for less. It is no longer a matter of passive dreams of wealth, it is transformed into concrete actions that bring not only decent but also honestly earned money. Taurus develops a firm inner conviction: I don't ask for more, I make the rules. Those who previously held Taurus on a short leash, whether employers, business partners, or even, unfortunately, close relatives, lose the ability to manipulate through a sense of duty. Representatives of this sign cease to feel the fear of losing something that was held solely on fear. The only serious mistake in this period will be the decision to stay in an environment where there is no proper respect. All current transits offer a unique opportunity to reach a qualitatively new level of income, but this requires a conscious and decisive choice. There will be a specific proposal, a new project, a significant figure, or a certain life situation that will make everything very clear. Either Taurus enters into something completely new, or returns to its past. And this choice will be final, it will be impossible to cancel it. It is this day that marks the starting point after which many Tauruses begin to build their lives on their own terms. Those who were previously burdened with debts will find a clear path to repay them. For those who have not seen the true value in their work, it will finally be revealed. And those who have been satisfied with everything will suddenly realize that their potential is much greater than they thought. The attributes of the serpentine during this period operate without compromise, lifting only those who dare to make decisive changes to new heights. The forecast for June and July 2025 is not just about another financial cycle, but marks a decisive moment when a person either opens the way to a prosperous life, or starts a chain of blunders, for which will have to pay for a long time. For Taurus, whose nature is inclined to a thorough check and comprehensive calculations, this period becomes a real test. After all, it is at this time the most powerful opportunities are manifested where before the representatives of this sign of the zodiac would prefer to pass by, driven by the usual caution or habitual fear. However, it is worth remembering that here also lurk the most dangerous traps. The following will be presented favorable days that can dramatically change the fate. June 25th will be marked by the new moon in Cancer, which actively manifests the sixth house of the horoscope. All endeavors undertaken on this day, especially in the field of work, deals and projects, will find steady growth, stabilization, and will bring regular income. This day is ideal for establishing new financial principles. You can safely increase the cost of your services, refuse exhausting and unprofitable conditions, launch your own projects, or even change your place of work. On the 4th of July, a significant astrological event will occur, the conjunction of Venus and Uranus. This day will be a period of sudden insights and epiphanies. A person will be able to clearly understand exactly how to earn money, with whom it is advisable to join forces, and what is no longer worth spending your precious time on. This moment is especially favorable for financial breakthroughs, especially for those who previously lacked the initiative or opportunity to prove themselves. On July 7th, during the trine of Venus and Pluto in the first house, a person gains unprecedented power over his or her own destiny. Those who are determined to speak up for themselves or take steps to get out from under someone else's influence can count on the powerful and direct support of cosmic transits. This day is considered extremely favorable for important negotiations, making a decision to leave an unloved job, launching a new business venture, or even for a radical change of residence. All these actions will receive the necessary energetic support. On July 23, Venus will conjunct the North Node, which will mark the onset of financial maturity. This will be a special day, when efforts ever made, even in the distant past, can bring sudden and very substantial income, tangible benefits, or long-awaited recognition. The latter is especially valuable for those who have not previously sought sympathy or praise, but simply worked hard. The universe has undoubtedly observed these unspoken feats and is now ready to honor them. However, it should be remembered that there are also potentially dangerous dates that can destroy all favorable endeavors. It is necessary to remember them. On June 9, Venus will enter into a tense interaction with Pluto. During this period, people, especially those born under the sign of Taurus, may experience strong inner tension that can lead to impulsive behavior. There is a risk of leaving work under the influence of emotions, which is strongly discouraged. It is also highly undesirable to invest money, relying solely on luck, or succumb to manipulation, hiding under the promise of joint earnings. This day severely punishes for self-deception and the manifestation of excessive trust in unsuitable people. Particularly dangerous are actions related to the execution of loans, promises of monetary assistance, or the transfer of funds in debt, as well as any involvement in other people's financial schemes. July 28, the day Venus sextiles Chiron, long-forgotten resentments, hidden weaknesses, or lingering feelings of guilt may surface. At such a moment, you may be tempted to try to put things back on track, forgive everyone and start fresh, even if it is about those who have hurt or betrayed you in the past. However, this is an insidious trap. It is important to remember, you should not forgive those who continue to take advantage of other people's kindness. Nor should one return to projects or relationships where one's efforts and contributions were not valued before. A person's financial situation is not limited to monetary units and interest rates. It is a profound aspect of one's self-determination. In these days, the true value of a person is revealed not only by the contents of a wallet or bank accounts, but also by the way an individual views himself. Decisions made during this period are transformed into lasting results that will be felt for years to come. Day 4 is coming. On the 4th of July, a significant astrological event occurs, the conjunction of Venus to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. This phenomenon symbolizes not only romantic experiences, but also a radical resetting of previous attitudes. Love, of course, takes center stage, but Uranus, on the other hand, symbolizes powerful upheaval and radical change rather than deep emotional ties. Whereas in the past interpersonal ties resembled more of a formal contract, the situation is now changing. Venus awakens Taurus' inherent personal self-value, while Uranus brings unrestricted freedom. From now on, love does not rest solely on politeness, habits, or fear of loneliness. If there is a person with whom one is truly at ease and comfortable, everything remains in place. However, if you have to constantly beg for support, prove your own importance or experience fear, then everything unnecessary is sifted out. Horoscope unambiguously indicates, genuine affection will certainly withstand this global reset, while all the superfluous and false will dissolve by itself. Taurus man stops meticulously control who writes his companion. It is enough for him only to realize that she is near, and this is quite enough. Taurus woman frees herself from the oppressive anxiety and stops expecting a catch, because she feels, everything she needs is already present in her life. For the first time, the relationship ceases to be a constant competition for merit or a tedious struggle to keep the partner, turning into a reliable and peaceful support, devoid of dramatic scenes, forced compromises and meaningless manipulative games. This is the very level of true intimacy that one could only dream of before. Day 5, July 7th, is marked by an astrological event. Venus forms a trigon with Pluto. This is an aspect that powerfully activates the first house, traditionally associated with self-perception and personal identity. During this period, Taurus begins to feel a surge of true freedom and inner power. All previous attitudes expressed in humility and submission, I tolerate, so it is necessary, what they say, lose their power and cease to be relevant. Now Taurus realizes that if he does not make his own choice, his life will not be the one he has always dreamed of. The Taurus man resolutely refuses to continue to exist under external control, even if that control masquerades as caring. His reaction is devoid of aggression, he shows only unwavering firmness, declaring, "This is not right for me." The Taurus woman, for her part, stops sacrificing herself for meaningless commitments. She is ready to invest her strength and resources only in those who are able to reciprocate. Otherwise, she simply leaves, without unnecessary dramatic manifestations. This marks the end of the previous state of affairs. These days, Taurus demonstrates absolute inner honesty. He discards the usual mask of reliable and comfortable for others, allowing himself to finally be his true self. It is at this crucial moment comes a true liberation from other people's expectations, from imposed false roles and from the connections, devoid of deep meaning. Remarkably, this newfound freedom is no longer a source of fear, on the contrary, it brings joy, although it may seem unusual and incomprehensible to some others. The sixth day, July 23rd, is marked by an important astrological event, the conjunction of Venus to the North Node in Gemini. This phenomenon goes beyond the usual ideas about finances or romantic relationships. It symbolizes the onset of a new reality in which Taurus finally stops following other people's rules and expectations. There is a powerful activation of the second house of the horoscope, the area responsible for personal resources, material wealth, and a deep realization of one's right to existence and well-being. In this context, Venus is not a whimsical goddess of love and beauty, but rather a calculating and cold-blooded accountant. She scrupulously accounts only for what is rightfully Taurus, without any allowance for illusion or self-deception. Taurus, who for years has been trained to be malleable, discreet, modest, and normal, now finds a strong inner support. He no longer needs to justify or explain his desires to live a better life, to strive for more or to feel freer. No one is now able to unceremoniously invade his personal space with phrases like, "This is wrong. You're too much. There's nothing to show off." This is the time to form your own, inviolable personal territory. It may be a place that is not necessarily staggeringly luxurious, but it is certainly his own. Here his own rules are established, his boundaries are defined, and his true joys are found. This territory can manifest itself as a physical home, professional activities, a circle of loved ones, or simply a deep inner feeling that Taurus does not have to accommodate anyone else's needs. And this state is not a manifestation of pride, on the contrary, it indicates the attainment of true maturity. Representatives of the sign of Taurus confidently refute four key misconceptions that for many years have been firmly associated with their nature. First, once thought to be perpetually hesitant, Taurus now demonstrates unparalleled speed and firmness in decision-making, displaying a determination that is unrivaled. Second, the former perception of his excessive earthiness gives way to a new image, now he is able to see 3 steps ahead, anticipating events and planning for the future. Thirdly, whereas before he was attributed to an excessive attachment to comfort, Taurus now chooses to pursue deeper meaning, even if it temporarily involves inconvenience and discomfort. And finally, the myth that he suffers in silence has been shattered, Taurus now calmly and firmly sets personal boundaries without allowing them to be violated. The influence of the serpentine is no joke, it entails not so much a change in the character of Taurus itself, but a deep, inner transformation of its external attributes and, as a result, the perception of others. And since July 23rd, no one sees Taurus no longer passive waiting. From now on, he is recognized as a man who knows his own value and will not participate in situations or relationships where this value is not recognized. Day 7, July 28th, is marked by Venus sextile Chiron. This becomes the final chord in the great symphony of change. After 6 days of intense transformation, the universe places a powerful defense over Taurus. For those who have unhealed holes in their souls after all these upheavals, this is where they are sewn up and healed. And those weaknesses that were once inherent in Taurus, now transformed into an undeniable strength. Taurus gains 3 untouchable attributes. These are not just tips or advice, they are fundamental rules that are henceforth deeply stitched into his essence. The first of them says, "It is inadmissible to lie to those who trust him, because trust is a priceless capital, the loss of which is almost unrecoverable." Taurus no longer intends to ask forgiveness for what is not to blame, because he realized that the feeling of guilt before was a tool of manipulation. From now on, he will not use other people's weaknesses, because the true strength of the representative of this sign of the zodiac lies in his ability to differ from the general mass. As a consequence, Taurus is now impossible to break. He will not be affected by unfounded accusations, will not be seduced by empty promises, and the lack of approval from others cannot undermine his spirit. He has achieved material independence and gained emotional stability. Most importantly, he has stopped looking for himself because he has already discovered his true nature. 7 days, 7 profound aspects, 7 keys open the way to a new life for Taurus. This is not just a fortune prediction from the horoscope, but rather a fine-tuning of destiny, giving each Taurus a unique opportunity to live without fear, without shame, and without the burden of past commitments. And if anyone questions the whereabouts of happiness, Taurus will now not point to some external goal or map, but will confidently point to himself. Thus, Taurus, as he was known before, ceased to exist. All the previous ideas about himself have become obsolete. For more than 2 millennia, or rather 2060 years, the sun made its way along the ecliptic in the age of Pisces. During this long period, the sign of Taurus was under the power of certain patterns of behavior. It was prescribed to tolerate, accumulate, do not stand out in silence. However, the era of Pisces came to its end. In the cosmic game entered the 13th sign, the Serpentine. In November 2025, Jupiter will cross a new boundary, rushing into the Serpentine zone. This means that everything that seemed immutable and eternal will be rewritten. The age of Aquarius in all its grand epicness is coming, a time of decisive action, assertion of individuality and a complete reset of the value system. Taurus no longer seeks comfort at any cost, but chooses a life built solely on its own laws. From now on, a new astrological date is defined for the person, stretching from May 13th to June 21st. However, one should not hurry with its immediate application, for haste in this case is inappropriate. The essence of what is happening is not reduced to a simple change of calendar reference points, which instantly transforms the personality. On the contrary, the depth and seriousness of these changes far exceed superficial perceptions. A person is not required to instantly comprehend the entirety of what is happening. It is only important not to miss the opportunities that are opening up. It is now that the long-awaited stage of being begins, in which there is no need to pretend, to hide one's true thoughts or to suppress emotions. Victories are found not in speculative constructions, but in tangible reality. Happiness will no longer be a fleeting state, man will be elevated to the position of full master of his own destiny. This is just a precursor to grandiose accomplishments. We wish you good luck on this path.